Alright, the next thing we want to talk about here is intelligence agency involvement. Why do we think that? Well, remember, the underwear bomber was escorted on the plane by an unknown man in a sharp suit, who, by the way, did have an American English accent. Now, that by itself is not convincing. But the fact that this guy was standing there saying, you know, he's a Sudanese refugee, which is not true, and he doesn't have a passport, but it's okay, you can put him on the plane, we do this all the time. Well, who's we? And why do we think he's connected with American intelligence? Well, here is a startling revelation. This really blows my mind. Article by Webster Griffin Tarplay, Infowars.com. State Department admits Detroit Christmas bomber was deliberately allowed to keep U.S. entry visa and board his flight. State Department knew about him and let him keep his visa. Now, they were going to reject it, but here's the thing. There were hearings held on January 27, 2010, before the House Homeland Security Committee, where the particulars of these things were discussed. Now, one of the people questioned was Patrick F. Kennedy, Undersecretary of State for Management. He says on record that he was asked by an unnamed intelligence agency to let him on the plane. So they were going to revoke it, and they were asked to let him keep it. Now, why did they do that? Well, here's an interesting revelation, and this is an article by Kurt Haskell, Infowars.com. January 20th, 2009, Director for the National Counterterrorism Center, Michael E. Leiter, makes this admission. I will tell you that when people come to the country and they are on the watch list, it is because we have generally made the choice that we want them here in the country for some reason or another. So they knew, they let him on the plane, they got him on the plane to bring him here. And one of the excuses is that, well, you know, we're going to follow him because he's going to lead us to the big fish. Well, there's a big problem with that. One, CBS reports that he was cooperating with the FBI and telling them what they needed to know. Well, you don't announce that. If you're looking for people, Al-Qaeda in Yemen, you don't announce to the world that, oh yeah, he's told us everything. You keep that under wraps. Second thing is, the Customs and Border Patrol, or Border Protection, were going to apprehend him when he got off the plane. That was going to happen anyway. He was at least in their database. So this idea of being incognito and following him, that wasn't going to happen. Thirdly, who was he put on the plane by in the first place? Maybe he didn't happen to notice that, you know, the CIA agent or the CIA asset standing right next to him, helping him get on the plane. I mean, that just doesn't wash, you know. So it's very clear here that intelligence agencies requested the State Department to let him on the plane, and they were in fact running and controlling this whole operation. This is a false flag operation. Umar Farouk is a patsy. Why is he a patsy? Well, we'll get into that. The explosive that this guy was using in his underpants, in his tighty whities, it's called pentoerythritol tetranitrate, or PETN, which is a powdery substance that is used as an explosive. Now, just to give you an idea of what this thing's capable of, I mean, 1 kilogram of this stuff has the energy of 1.24 kilograms of TNT, which is about 1.24 kilograms, about 2.2 pounds. Now, the underwear bomber only had about 2.8 ounces of this stuff. So whether it was enough to bring down the plane is very questionable. But it says that he used a syringe to inject a liquid into it, which caused it to start on fire. Well, I don't know what the liquid was, but if you want to ignite it as an explosive, you need a blasting cap. So the fact that he did not have one, or his controllers didn't give him one, is very revealing. I don't think they're that stupid. In my opinion, what happened was this was a terrorist attempt that was meant to fail. Why? We're going to get into that. That's what we're going to cover next. Alright, now, why would they want this terrorist incident to fail? Well, it's like Rahm Emanuel said, you don't want a good crisis to go to waste, and they're not letting it go to waste. Here's the deal. If that plane had exploded, we really wouldn't have known what had happened. But it didn't, so we know what happened, or what he tried to do. He apparently tries to blow himself up, but it fails. And what did he do? Well, he had this powder in his pants. Well, what's the solution? Well, the solution is X-ray machines at the airport, aka the naked body scanners, or otherwise known as the digital strip search, which a lot of people are upset and up in arms about now. Now, there were already some of them, like 19 or 20 of them in airports across America before this happened. No, 40 of them, sorry, in 19 different U.S. airports. This is reported in the Pacific Free Press, but it's in other places as well. It's all over the place. After that took place, the TSA ramped up their order for 300 more. Well, these things are 150 grand a pop, which means in total you're looking at over $50 million. Not bad. A little bit of financial motivation there, I would say. Now, Michael Chertoff, former head of Homeland Security from 2005 up to 2009, months before this took place, there was a lot of criticism about this because he basically used his security and former government connections and channels to help get this through. He's the one who really pushed for these machines. He's head of the Chertoff Group, and one of their clients is Rapiscan Systems. So, as a former government official, he is personally representing the companies that are going to be profiting from this. No conflict of interest here, Although, ironically, according to a British defense research firm, these scanners would not have detected the type of bomb that Umar Farouk was wearing because it has trouble with low-density materials like plastics, chemicals, and liquids. So, even in that case, it's highly likely that these machines wouldn't even work anyways. So there you have it. Now, I would not say that this was the reason that they would pull this off. This is like a side benefit. Don't let a crisis go to waste, right? And that's basically what's happening here. This is an opportunistic financial opportunity for these people who are selling these systems and Chertoff himself, although it goes beyond that. And we'll talk about that next. Alright folks, I'd like to sum things up now, bring it to a conclusion here. Here's the basic picture. Umar Farouk may have been a Muslim, he may have had extreme views, but here's the deal. He was a patsy being used by intelligence agencies to further an alternate agenda. What is that agenda? Saving the billion-dollar interests that the international banks and oil companies had in Yemen. We're not attacking Al-Qaeda in Yemen. We're attacking people who are protesting a corrupt government. So, we didn't have a good enough reason to go in there and do it and ramp up the attacks, so we created one. We created an incident where Mr. Umar Farouk tried to light his undies on fire, and that was the reason that we're going to go into Yemen, because apparently he was there and had some terrorist training there. So that's why we're doing all of this. It's staged, and the official story obviously is not true. They're not telling you the whole story. The side benefits, like Rahm Emanuel said, don't let a good crisis go to waste. Well, they don't. It was an opportunity, one, to extend the Patriot Act. December 16th, Congress decided to put off until the new year voting on letting certain provisions expire or extending them. Well, guess what? Right on time, Mr. Underwear Bomber does his thing, and in February of 2010, late February, Congress keeps those provisions and Obama signs into law. So we get more draconian legislation extended again. We get tens of millions of dollars spent on naked body scanners, which may or may not help us anyway, which violates your privacy, which blasts you with ionizing radiation that unzips your DNA, and more government control. So these are all the side benefits that come out of this. Things are not what they appear. I encourage you to do your own research on this. You can go to Kurt Haskell's family blog, check out his testimony for yourself. There's more than even what I'm covering here. I'm trying to be brief, but there's even more. You can go to Infowars.com, which has great coverage, and Detroit News Online, as well as Reuters and some of these other news agencies that I've mentioned. So check it out, do your own research. Don't take things at face value. Don't just take what I'm saying at face value. Just check it out for yourself. We're being lied to by the media, and we're being lied to by certain people within the government. Not everyone, but obviously we're not getting the whole story. And that's why I'm doing this. I want you to be informed and be empowered. You're not a victim. You are empowered when you have information. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time.